back to show an update of the Brighter Broker real estate application for Salesforce. I haven't done an update for about a week or so. I was out of town and just been a little busy after getting back, starting my new job at Veritone Inc., which is pretty awesome. And I'll tell everybody about that a little bit more later. But for now, I do want to show you my latest update, which involves the map on the property record. I did struggle with this a little bit because I did start it, and I tried to do it originally by querying the database to get from the property record to get the address parameters. Parameters being street, city, state, zip code, and all of those things. And it was working, but it was moving a little slower than I'd like. And every time somebody loads a page, you don't want the database being queried like that. I know it does typically for standard records and record details, but I didn't want this being, this map being built and slowing down the page. So I decided to use Salesforce's built-in map feature and went ahead and used it to build the map as the page is loaded. And I will show you that in a moment. One other factor I had to consider, and I'll go ahead and pull up the record now and show you. But one other factor I had to get, now this one is a good one to show you because it doesn't have latitude and longitude. And the other factor I was going to tell you about that I had to consider is that using this new address field, it's a custom address field, just like the one that has always been on Salesforce's lead and contact records, we have now available to put anywhere. And there are some limitations with it, and I don't believe we can query sub strings from that value, meaning we can't get street, city, and those things after we put them in here like this. So we can place them in here, but I don't believe we can, at this time, query these individual values. Now, which is fine because we do get latitude and longitude once we get these values. Now, this is good because me pulling this one up is good because it doesn't have a lot of the information that we need. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to walk through the entire process so I can show you how everything works from start to finish. All right, so let's go ahead and refresh property data by clicking this Lightning component. It makes an API call to an outside database that will return the values that will complete this record. Mostly complete. We don't get everything. And this is real estate data, so it's not always perfect. So here we go. You can see that we now have latitude and longitude, and the map has been updated. And there are some other automations that are going to go on, and we're going to show you those. Now, you've seen the sale and mortgage record before and how I can pull the sale and mortgage, and the most recent sale and mortgage information from this address. This makes another API call to a different system, but it uses the address as a parameter. So let's go ahead and make this call. So all I have to do right now is just put anything in here because I have an automation that will update this name value with the street name. So all I have to put that, it's the only required field. And I'll hit save. And you see right here, nothing has been populated. These are the values that I have showing on the property record for the sale and mortgage, so that when you're on the property, you can peek over and you can see sale and mortgage. You can see the lender name, mortgage balance, and all those things. But it was a call out, so it takes a few seconds to populate. So here you go. These things have been populated. The map, it updates. We get some owner information. And we're dealing with real estate data. The names aren't always recorded properly, so you have to take that with a grain of salt, but it is a good starting point. So we'll go over here, and you've seen this before. I've shown all these calculations. I will go over it all again at some point, but right now you can see how all the data is pulled in. That's all I pretty much wanted to show today. Now, one other thing that I did want to mention are the next steps that kind of build off of this, because we're going to eventually use this latitude and longitude values to calculate showing directions. So if we want to show one showing from our current location, then we'll get the directions. And maybe I'll have an API, email them or text them to the user. But, and then if there are 5, 6 showings, we're going to work with the showing time company to try and use their API to bring in the scheduled showings and send the directions via an API to via either text or email. And then I also want to show those directions here. We're going to build that. So we're going to build that on the tour. So we'll build a tour here on a map in a Lightning Web Component, and it'll be based on a bunch of different viewings. And a viewing basically is just a junction between property and tour. Another thing I'm working on is have the subdivisions automatically linked, because we do have subdivision as a custom object in here, and which is a good thing to have. An agent or property manager or investor, they're going to want to have as much information as they can about the subdivision. How many properties are out there? How many are owner occupied? How many are investor owned? How much the HOA is. We have, HOA is also a custom object. So that's also going to be, all these things are going to be automated. So it's just going to be seamless for someone to come in and utilize all this information. I've had clients of mine in the past when I was in real estate who didn't even know, who handled their HOA. They paid it every month or whatever, but they still didn't know how to get a hold of them. And the realtors are always looking to get a hold of the HOA. And one other thing I'm going to be working on is getting delinquency information. Now, I know that's kind of sensitive data, and this is all public record. So, pulling in delinquency data will be good for a salesperson, a real estate salesperson who's prospecting for business. Now, if this person here, had a flag as a delinquency flag was here, then a salesperson would be able to come over to their sale and mortgage record and see that they had estimated equity, and we could probably even set up automations, for them to get a mail or something automatically. As soon as the delinquency popped up, they would be able to reach out to them and say, hey, look, you have equity in this home. We've seen the delinquency is in the public record. So there's a lot of different things that can be done. Obviously, all this is public data, so we're not violating anyone's privacy. But that, these are all, really important things that can be done within Salesforce, just using a couple APIs and a lot of automation. So that's it. Thank you for your time today, and I will see you next time I'll send an update. Bye.